but we always check on what Lindsay has to say. And so many of these predictions have come true. The reason I wanted to get Lindsay on was because just 2.5 weeks ago, he said, watch, they're going to announce they're going to start devaluing the dollar. The inflation's going to go up. Oil's going to go up to $160 a barrel in the next 8 months. That'll be $5, $6 at the pump. It's already going up. And now, because of all this information being out with the former Atlantic Richfield operations director, who was on his deathbed or deceased, we're not sure. The other gentleman, and don't do any document cam shots right now, folks. I've got to hide this after I'm done, is starting to tell Lindsay a lot more as well. So I'm just going to leave it at that. We got Bob Chapman waiting in the wings with his comments. But Lindsay, are you ready to give folks the gentleman's last name?
Yes, I am willing for you to do that, Alex. It has gotten to the point that the predictions, everything they've ever said over the past 35 years has come to pass exactly like they said it. You are right at $90 a barrel on crude oil this morning. It is going to 150 to 200. They wanted it $200 a barrel. You are going to see massive inflation. Things are happening out there. Now, let me give you the sign. You remember this man 2 years ago gave me a sign. I've got to give it to the listening audience and remind you that it's happening exactly like he said it. He said to me, he said, Chaplain, watch crude oil prices and you will know the progression. Now, I'm going to add on the words of the elite. Watch crude oil prices, you will know the progression of the elite. They are accomplishing everything they want. They're ready to draw the string. They know exactly what they're doing. They have been able to do it the way they wanted it, and now they already, I told you 2 years ago, the crude oil prices would stay around $70 to $75 a barrel. I said it right here on Alex Jones Show. This elitist individual told me that. He said it'll stay there for 2 years to 2 years and a half. They told me when they were going back up with it, and you're going back up to $4 to $5 a barrel at the, gallons at the gas pump, and you're going to hit $200 a gallon a barrel oil, at least 150 in the near future.
Yeah, you said 150 to 200 in the next 6 to 8 months. Here we are, less than a month later, and starting to happen. Now, Lindsay, other people have been able to figure out who this is. Of course, I've known through phone calls and other sources and other media people that knew this gentleman and your other Mr. X, and who have talked to him, people I really trust like Dr. Stan Monteith. He's kept the confidence. But I'll just tell you, other people have been able to figure out who it is. Actually, 2 years ago, a political analyst who we routinely interview figured it out. Other people now, because of all these predictions coming true, have dug it out. So we're not really breaking this here, except that we're breaking it and confirming it. But you go ahead and give folks his last name.
His last name is Fromm. He was the director for all operations, was given the responsibility of producing the entire Prudhoe Bay oil field on the east side. He also produced all of the oil fields for Atlantic Richfield back about 30 to 40 years ago in the country of the United Arab Emirates. Very prominent oil individual. He retired, and then his alternate at Prudhoe Bay finally became the CEO of Atlantic Richfield.
And that's your other Mr. X.
This is the Mr. X who has given me most of the material over the past 35 years, and never one time has he ever misled me or ever anything he said.
Okay, well, I don't want to give away the other person, but they're now telling you a lot more because of what Mr. Fromm, F-R-O-M-M, next hour or later in the hour. Give us as much that you can now tell us that you couldn't talk about a few weeks ago, and then also give us a prelude to what the other Mr. X is now telling you.
Well, first of all, the second Mr. X, the gentleman who is still alive, has definitely verified that all of these things are true. Crude oil prices are going to go up. Gold and silver is going exactly where they said it was going. The fact that I think on the show that I was on with you about 2 weeks ago, I indicated that don't pay any attention to what happens in North and South Korea. Don't pay any attention to what happens in the Middle East. Those are just distractions. The real interest right now that you should watch very carefully is China and Russia. And I use the expression, can you imagine Walmart without any items on the shelf marked made in China? The mortgage crisis positively. You're beginning to see this emerge now, exactly the MBS, the mortgage-backed securities issue, emerging exactly as Mr. X said it, and I gave it on your show 2 weeks ago. So all of these things are fitting into perfect place. And then since Mr. Fromm now probably has passed away, the other Mr. X has gone into some things. You know, the elite over the years have talked with me about a number of things that I just haven't said anything about. And on the last program I was on with you, you kept asking me over and over and over on the program, well, Lindsay, is there anything else that you haven't told us? Well, yes, there were a few things, but out of respect for Mr. Fromm, I did not want to say them until after it was all over with. Well, now supposedly he probably has passed on. These people know where things are.
Discuss that, but I want to get Bob Chapman's take on the different issues that we've been discussing here. I mean, to have former chief operating officers, heads of operations, CEOs who are at these highest levels, they can just confirm, Bob, but we can already see the writing on the wall. I mean, it's all right here. But it is really frightening that so much of what these Mr. X's have talked about has been so accurate. But I remember back in 2006, this is in my film Endgame, produced 2007, that both Jim Tucker of American Free Press and Daniel Estulin have sources inside Bilderberg. I'll just leave it at that. And I was there at Bilderberg, covering it from outside. And they, matter-of-factly, when I interviewed them both, said they're going to pop the mortgage bubble. And, 2006, nobody was talking about that. It ran up for another year and a half. And they said then they're going to get everybody in debt, and they're going to use that debt to bring in, the global government. They want to bankrupt people to make them more easily managed. They're going to drive up oil prices after that. And then in 2008, months before it started driving up to 150 a barrel, we got the same intel in Chantilly, Virginia, from Bilderberg sources. Tucker did. So, I mean, it's clear they're really in there calling the shots, Bob Chapman.
Well, they certainly are. And, just take oil as an example on a fundamental basis. It's probably worth $60, $65 a barrel, but that doesn't mean anything because the oil market has been manipulated by the OPEC members as well as others for a long time. And if they want to take it to 150, they can do it.